And so the journey continues. Effective communication is a critical factor in achieving success in business. Businesses rely on communication to convey ideas, business relationships, resolve conflicts, and drive productivity. Communication is more crucial in business than we can ever imagine. It is the single most important thing. When we think about business and how we get to succeed in business, mostly we think about our products, our services. Is our marketing strategy in place? Do we have a nice revenue model that is going to bring in some good revenue? Do we have a nice set out social media and advertising campaign? Do we have a nice structure of employees? And in all of this, communication is singled out as potentially one of the most important and the most key factors in your business success. When we think about communication, we can link this into every area of your business. When we think about communication, we think about how are you going to get your business out there? How do you communicate your business? How do you position your business? How do people get to know about your business? And we're going to go through a few ways of communicating, a few strategies of this communication, and how it can lead to business success. So, just as a starting point, I think as a business owner myself, active listening is important. So, when you go and meet a client, and so for our business, our goal is to make the lives of a client simpler, right? So if I go meet a client and I need to hear what it is that their problem is, and if I am not actively listening and finding out the real condition of the problem, I potentially will lose this client just in the first few minutes of having a conversation with him. Because I can tell you for one, a client doesn't want to know all the solutions if they don't have the problem clearly defined. So I think active listening is one of the important attributes for of this level of communication. So understanding what the problem is, maintaining eye contact, showing a genuine interest in the client and what they have to say. Active listening is also important for if you're a business owner to your employees. So many times employees, they, as we all maybe once were employees, we know that our managers don't necessarily listen or want to know what our problems are. But as we grow in business, as an entrepreneur, you want to get your business from one level to the next. Listening to those that are assisting you and helping you to get your business to the next level is vitally important because they are the nuts and the bolts. They are the hands and the feet on the ground to actually getting this ship moving, to getting this engine going. And then clear and concise messaging. This is for one in business, doing business for about 6 years. I think for me, this is one of the biggest struggles I had. I could not clearly define or clearly detail the messaging that wanted my end user or my potential clients to hear or to get. So I've been through many different iterations of what it is that I do, how I do it, what I want to do, what is my solution to your problem, how I'm going to do it, and how it benefits you. And this is probably for me to till today, probably the one of the most difficult kind of communications to do. So I reverted to just being very simple and communicating the fact that I am here to solve a problem. You tell me the problem, and I do the best that I can to solve your problem. And the main goal for me is to make your life simpler, to add value and turn the dial in your business and potentially in your life. Because for me, when I make the lives of the business owners simpler, they essentially have energy to do the business better. They essentially are able to be more efficient in their business and more productive, essentially. So, the next aspect I think which is important is to tailor your communication style to the best of your ability. So, we all have different types of businesses that we do, right? And no single communication works for everyone. So, for example, there are many accounting firms, and I myself find myself in the space of accounting and tax. The way we communicate to our clients, the way we communicate to an end user is totally different, and it is more unique, I would say, because we look at ourselves as a bespoke business. So no particular client that we have is exactly the same as another. Everyone is totally different, and we perceive that. So we treat each client as unique as they are. And this is vitally important in that aspect, knowing that each client is different. There's also another attribute that I think is important in this respect, and that is to really communicate, or let's say over communicate, if that is a stance. So, the reason why I say over communicate is because when you are giving a client continuous feedback, it seems as if the problems are being solved. And this is something that is a work in progress, I would say. And it's not something that I believe as a business we have gotten to it quite yet. But applying it incrementally, I believe I have seen some dramatical and great improvements. And it is as simple as having your communication streamlined. When you communicate as a business, you communicate to the group of clients that you have. So, in this area of communication, I think that adding certain levels of integrations and automations, integrating with certain softwares and automating this process is vitally important. And for example, when meeting with a client and you understand the needs, you understand what they want you to do, and they are clear with what you are going to do on your side, then a formal communication, but automated, sending them a preliminary engagement as what it is that you do, how you're going to do it, your costing, and all of those things is vitally important. And I think that that is a game changer because many times, as for example, myself, I'd find myself in a space where I would have a meeting with a client and 2 to 3 days later, then only get back to them, which is not really efficient and effective. And it does not show that I am really interested in them and not interested in their success as an organization. And I think it is very important to be very transparent with clients and with staff. And this is a very interesting kind of aspect because being transparent is vitally important, but levels of transparency is also very important. And your clients and your staff do not need to know every single thing about you personally or even in business, but they need to know as much as possible. So I think there's clear lines that can be used in this area, and it is like just being honest, continuous updates. If there are challenges, make the challenges known and and ensure that there are solutions brought to those challenges. If the business is doing well, share those achievements. Make sure that your employees and even your clients know the achievements that your business is going through. And on the aspect of following up, this I think is way up there as highly important in communication. So lead generation is a very important aspect with growing your business in general. And we see a lot of companies and technology applying lead generation strategies and systems, lead generation systems to the way you do business and the way you close clients. And I think this is vitally important. So there's a very few strategies that, or not a few, but there's quite a bit of strategies that you can use to generate leads. So the initial lead is vitally important, but the follow up is even more important because 10 to 1, if you send out 10 communications to potential clients, which is your leads, right? Following up on them is even more important because 10 to 1, 2 will get back to you. But following up on the other 8 means that you potentially have an interest in their business growing and an interest in them as a company to do better. And this are just a few strategies that we can apply. And I think just to bring it all together, pure empathy is absolutely important. As we heard in the previous episode, to practice empathy is vitally important. I had a situation in a few years ago. I was busy doing my articles at this small accounting firm or relatively medium accounting firm. And I was so excited at the time to do this articles because I understood that once I'm gone through it, I could potentially practice accounting as a professional or as a business owner and then sign off financials as all accountants they love and it's the goals. But then there was this I don't know what it was, but I think it's just communication flaws where after a year and a half I had not got to the point where I could connect with the overseer to sit down and actually go through the working file. And when we got to that point of getting to the working file, we had to get all these documents in order and we had to get all these things in place. The very next time was 4 weeks later. And I thought to myself that if the very first time we communicate about this file that we needed, it's a log file that we needed to log all the work that we did and tick off the boxes and so on, how long will this really take? And I was sort of in a time in my life where time was fast spent and I wanted to get this over and done with as soon as possible because we understand that when you have been working in mainstream and you then need to go back and do your articles, it is rather challenging. So I think that at that time in my life, I just thought that the communication and the way it was done was not really nice. So I took the decision to move and go to a different business. I left accounting totally. I moved over to an investment firm. And it was really incredible the learning that I went through because from the space I was at in the accounting field, dealing with um, financial statements and income statements and balance sheets and taxes, moving to another space in investments was totally incredible. And there was a big transition that I had to take place. But when I got there, the levels of communication was so incredible. When I got there the first day, I got the file with all the work, or not all the work, all the notes that I needed to read through. And we had weekly check-ins to make sure that I'm on track, that I'm understanding the work. And I think just that small kind of communication strategies that's in place, it really gives the employees this energy to really pursue what it is that they need to do and do it better and do it with more efficiency and effectiveness and really drive the change that's required within themselves to cause profitability to the company itself. And for this week, that is our conversation to have effective communication strategies for your business success. I hope that you enjoyed it and thank you for listening. I am Andrew James Stewart and this is Dee-Boor. I'm living my dream and I hope you decide to live your dream too. We will see you on the next episode in 1 week's time.